Did you know that your bones are nearly 50% protein by volume? That means if you're not eating enough protein, you're literally starving your bones of the raw material they need to stay strong. Here's what you can expect to learn in this video. First, we'll talk about why protein matters for bone strength. Then we'll discuss the quantity. How much of it do you need? Then we'll talk about real foods you can eat to get your protein requirements. Before we jump in, who am I? My name is Igor. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Osteoporosis Reversal Secrets. As well, I run an online personal training company that specializes in osteoporosis reversal. And just so you don't think I'm some guy online with an opinion, I am actually a personal trainer who trains clients and helps them reverse osteoporosis. For example, on the left side of the screen, you'll see Darlene, who at the age of 46 was diagnosed with breast cancer, went through chemotherapy, radiation, and eventually estrogen blockers. Her bone density, as a result of everything, went down, and we were able to turn that around. In the middle, you'll see Laura, one of our osteoporotic clients from Los Angeles. She had severe osteoporosis, including family history of it, and we were able to turn that around by between 4 to 7%, depending on the area, in a matter of 1.5 years. And on the right, you'll see Anne, who was a fit, active, healthy 60-year-old accountant. And yet, despite all that, she still had osteoporosis, which came as a huge shock to her. By changing her approach, we were able to actually improve her bone density as well. So, why does protein matter for bone strength? As I mentioned in the intro, by volume, protein makes up 50% of bone. By bone mass, it's 1/3. So it's a huge component, far bigger than anything else. Yes, bigger than calcium, bigger than strontium, bigger than zinc, bigger than every other component. Except in bone, it's actually not called protein, it's actually called collagen. That's the protein that makes up bone. And so basically, protein is the raw material for collagen, which gives bone flexibility and strength. Higher protein intake means a lower fracture risk, and in a second, you'll see one study showing up to a 65% low risk of fracture with high protein diets. Although I would venture to say it's actually not a high protein diet. It's more of an adequate protein diet. It just so happens to be that most people with osteoporosis are unintentionally on a low protein diet. So what is actually an adequate protein diet to them feels like a high protein diet, even though objectively speaking, it isn't. So here's a study titled Dietary Protein Intake and Risk of Osteoporotic Hip Fracture in Elderly Residents of Utah. In this study, they recruited 2,501 people between the ages of 50 and 89 and divided them into different groups based on their protein intake. What they found is that those with the highest protein intake, in other words, if protein made up 30% of their diet, they had a 65% lower risk of fractures than average. Again, that's compared to average, not compared to lowest. That in and of itself is already impressive. So hopefully I've convinced you that if you have osteoporosis, chances are you probably need more than what you're currently getting. But that begs the question, how much protein do you need? Protein requirements depend on three different factors. One is your activity level. Are you sedentary? Are you doing cardio only? Are you doing strength training only? Or are you doing cardio plus strength training? The second component is your body weight. It's no surprise that larger people need more protein than smaller people, or more food in general. And third is your age. Are you under 60 or are you over 60? People under 60 require less protein than people over 60 because people over 60 have worse digestion, and so they need more protein to get the same job done. On this table, you'll see the exact numbers of protein that you need based on all those factors. If you like, pause this video right here so that you can do the calculations for yourself. Now, if you're wondering, what foods help me get to my protein requirements the easiest? I divide protein in three categories. Category number one is what I call grade A protein. That's anything with more than 30 grams of protein per serving. Some examples of that are meat, fish, seafood, protein powder, and egg whites. Okay. Now, that's not to say that all of those sources are 100% grade A. There are some exceptions. So here are some exceptions to grade A. Ground beef, if it's not extra lean ground beef, it's a grade B protein, not a grade A protein. That's because if it's just lean, or if it's medium, or if it's fatty ground beef, it's more than 50% fat and less than 50% protein. Burger patties only have about 10 or 12 grams of protein. Not to say you shouldn't eat them, just don't think of them as a protein source, as a primary protein source. Burger patties also have more fat than they do protein. Deli slices, same thing here, more fat than protein. Hot dogs, more fat than protein, and bacon. All those are delicious, but they all contain more fat than they do protein. Not to say you shouldn't have them, just don't think of them as a grade A protein source. Next, grade B protein sources are anything between 10 to 30 grams of protein per serving. All beans are about 12 to 14 grams of protein per cup. Lentils, 16 to 18 grams. Chickpeas, also about 16 to 18 grams. Peanut butter, 12 to 14 grams per serving. Greek yogurt, 12 grams per cup. Icelandic yogurt, 18 grams per cup. Protein bars, 15 to 20 grams per bar. So that's grade B protein. Then there is grade C protein. So regular yogurt that's not Greek or Icelandic contains only about 6 grams per cup. One glass of milk is about 9 grams of protein. One slice or one cube of cheese is about 5 to 6 grams of protein. One medium egg is 6 grams, one large egg is 9 grams. All fruits and vegetables are under 5 grams per serving. Nuts are extremely high in calories and extremely low in protein at only 5 grams per 50 grams, which is a pretty large handful. Um, Now, besides protein, there is one other nutrient, and it's not vitamin D that can really help with bone density and fracture risk. I talk about that in a special video that I recorded that is not available on YouTube. It's a stronger bones checklist, 6 steps to prove bone density naturally. You can get that video by visiting this website on your screen right now, as well as in the description below.